They say love can overcome anything, but if you've been through a long-distance breakup, you already know that's not always true. Sometimes what breaks isn't the love, it's the silence, the waiting, the space where nothing makes sense anymore. And if you're here wondering whether that distance has destroyed something, or whether there's still a way back, this video is for you. Because today, we're not just talking about breakups. We're talking about the emotional weight of loving someone miles away, and what it really takes to rebuild something that time and silence have fractured. This isn't about tricks or texts or quick fix tactics. It's about self-respect, emotional clarity, and what it means to reclaim your center after you've lost someone you never wanted to lose. So if you're ready to stop reacting and start seeing clearly, if you're ready to understand how real attraction is rebuilt when the distance feels too wide, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Stoic Station, because this might not be the video that gives you false hope, but it just might be the one that gives you real power. Let's begin. Part 1. Accept the harsh reality of long-distance breakups. There's a kind of pain that's unique to long-distance breakups. It's not just the absence, it's the helplessness. You're left staring at a screen that once felt alive with connection, now gone cold. And in that silence, it's tempting to believe that love alone is enough to bring them back. But the truth? It's far more complicated. Long-distance relationships don't just carry emotional weight, they carry logistical, psychological, and spiritual burdens that local breakups don't. And when they end, the chances of rebuilding are lower, not because you didn't care enough, but because distance robs you of opportunities to reconnect naturally, especially if you only met online, maybe once or twice, and live on opposite ends of the world. You might need to move on. That truth isn't here to break you, it's here to wake you. Because not every connection was meant to survive separation. Not every bond was given the chance to grow roots in the real world. If your relationship existed mostly in texts, late-night calls, and unfulfilled plans, then the emotional gravity just isn't there. You don't have enough shared reality to pull them back toward you. But if your story was real, if it was built on plane tickets and time zones, on airport gates and holding hands across coffee tables, then there's something worth protecting. If you shared weekends, seasons, even just consistent time together in person, then you had something tangible, something that distance tried to stretch, not erase. And that matters, but only if you're willing to stop chasing the illusion of what was and instead build the strategy for what could be. Hope without action is fantasy, but hope with clarity, that's power. This isn't about becoming colder, it's about becoming clearer. You need to know where you stand, not just emotionally, but logistically, because the moment you accept the reality, the moment you let go of false expectations, is the same moment you start gaining real control. So don't romanticize the pain. Don't confuse longing with connection. Let the truth do its work. It will hurt, but it will also harden you in the right places. Because if there's still something worth saving, you'll need all of you, clear, grounded, and calm, to bring it back. Part 2. Understand the key factors that influence your chances. Getting your ex back after a long-distance breakup has nothing to do with luck. It's not about the stars aligning or stumbling into the right words. It's about leverage, the kind of leverage that comes from the history you built together, and more importantly, the way you've handled yourself since everything fell apart. Your chances don't depend on how much you loved her. They depend on context. You stand on far stronger ground if you met in person and created real-life momentum before the distance ever became a challenge. If you shared physical space, walked side by side, laughed in real rooms, created memories beyond a screen, then your connection has substance. If you spent holidays together, lived close at one point, or visited each other frequently enough to feel like more than a profile photo that creates emotional depth most long-distance couples never reach. But there's another side to this, and it's the one most men overlook. You may have had history, but if you've spent the weeks after the breakup spiraling, begging, explaining, sending long messages, or constantly checking in, you've likely damaged your leverage. Because when she senses that you're emotionally unstable or desperate, she doesn't feel drawn back to you. She feels confirmed in her decision to walk away. Here's what matters more than how long it's been: what you did with that time. Did you hold the line? Did you stay composed and silent, even when you were tempted to chase her through the void? Or did you fold into emotion, thinking more words might undo the damage? Distance by itself doesn't kill connection, but desperation, that's fatal. The men who succeed in pulling an ex back after distance are the ones who carry themselves with calm certainty. They're not asking to be chosen again. They're becoming someone worth choosing. So before you send another message, ask yourself this: are you creating gravity, or are you proving need? Because in this kind of game, presence isn't power, poise is. And every moment you've spent in restraint, in rebuilding, in silence, that's leverage. Most men never hold on to it long enough to see what it can do, but if you do, she'll notice, and she'll feel it, even from miles away. Part 3. Initiate the no-contact rule immediately. One of the biggest mistakes men make after a long-distance breakup is believing that reminders will bring her back. That if you just keep showing her you still care, through texts, voice notes, emotional confessions, she'll eventually see your heart and come running. But the truth is that constant presence only confirms what she already suspects, that you're still orbiting her, waiting for a green light. And nothing repels feminine energy faster than a man who makes her his emotional center. No contact isn't a trick. It's not meant to punish her or create confusion. It's not a tactic to force her hand. No contact is a line in the sand. It's a boundary that says, I will not fight to convince someone to value me. It's not silence meant to manipulate. It's silence that allows transformation. 30 days. No messages. No checking in. No subtle reactions to her stories. No late night, just thinking of you slips. Not because you're cold, but because you're choosing to cut the emotional cord that's kept you dependent on her response. No contact isn't about making her miss you. It's about making space for you to stop bleeding. It's the fire that burns away the neediness, the over-explaining, the desperate tone that crept into your voice after the breakup. And in that fire, the weaker version of you, one built around external validation, starts to burn off. When the messages stop, the narrative begins to shift. The silence becomes louder than any apology. It becomes mystery. It becomes strength. And maybe, just maybe, it becomes the thing that makes her wonder if she ever really knew the man you're now becoming. Part 4. Why no contact actually works. This isn't just advice. This is psychology in motion. No contact isn't a hopeful waiting game. It's a neurological reset. And once you understand that, you'll stop seeing it as silence and start seeing it as strategy. Most people believe presence is power. That if you stay visible, send the check-in text, comment on their story, casually remind them you still exist, they'll remember how much they meant to you. But human emotion doesn't respond to proximity like that. What actually stirs memory and longing isn't contact, it's absence. Let your silence do the talking. Around weeks 3 or 4, something subtle but powerful begins to happen inside your ex's mind. The emotional storm that led to the breakup starts to lose its edge. The conflict fades into the background. The negative energy that once felt so loud, your arguments, your neediness, the pressure, it begins to dissolve. And in its place, something softer rises. the warmth of shared laughter, the connection they felt at 2 a.m., the small things you did without asking. These memories begin to surface, not because you reminded her of them, but because you left space for them to return on their own. The beauty of no contact is that it gives both of you a break from the noise. And during that time, something else equally important happens. You stop bleeding. You stop responding from pain. You stop seeking comfort in the very person who stepped away. Without the daily push and pull, your nervous system stabilizes. Your identity starts to shift back to something solid, independent, calm. And that calm creates momentum. This isn't magic, it's mechanics. Emotional momentum can't rebuild in a space that's constantly interrupted by reminders, explanations, or apologies. It builds in stillness. It builds in silence. When you step back without a word, you give her mind the chance to wonder, and her heart the chance to miss. What she remembers in that silence may surprise her. And if you've done it right, it will also surprise you, because in the stillness, you don't just create space for her to come back. You also create space for yourself to become someone stronger. Part 5. What not to do and what to do during no contact. This is the stage where most men unknowingly destroy the very progress they're trying to make, not because they're weak, but because the pain pushes them into action. It tells them, do something. And out of that discomfort, they reach for what feels like control, words. But here's the harsh truth, one that stings, yet frees you if you let it in. You can't talk your ex into loving you again. You can't craft the perfect message. You can't write a letter so heartfelt it erases disappointment. No amount of late-night texts or vulnerable monologues will make her suddenly realize she made a mistake. That's the illusion, and the more you lean into it, the faster she pulls away. Because when a woman pulls back, she doesn't want more words. She wants space. And if you ignore that, even with good intentions, what you're really doing is trying to prove your value through desperation. That doesn't inspire affection, it confirms her doubts. So instead of explaining your worth, start embodying it. This is not the time to pour your emotions into a screen and hope it lands in her heart. This is the time to rise silently, to move so powerfully in your own lane that she begins to wonder, not what you're feeling, but who you're becoming. Don't send emotional essays. Don't revisit the breakup to seek closure. Don't try to provoke a response through guilt or pity. Every one of those actions drags your energy backward into a version of yourself that is reactive, exposed, and fragile. And don't broadcast your pain online. Posting sadness on social media might earn sympathy, but it won't earn respect, especially not from her. Instead, focus on elevation. You don't have to be fake, just intentional. Post photos that reflect strength, community, growth. Share something that shows movement in your life, whether that's working out, exploring a new place, or taking on a challenge you'd once avoided. Not to make her jealous, not to get attention, but to create a simple, undeniable truth. You're doing well without her. And if she finds out about your wins through mutual friends or quiet posts, even better. Let the energy of your life speak for itself. Let her see the glow, not the need. Because at the core of all this is one goal. Make her curious about the new you. That's how you shift power. That's how you reclaim your place in her mind, without asking for it. When a man detaches, evolves, and holds his own energy, something changes, and she'll feel it, whether she admits it or not. You're not trying to make her feel bad for leaving. You're showing her, without saying a word, that the man she once knew is gone, and the man who's taken his place. He doesn't chase, he doesn't beg, he just is. And that energy, that quiet, grounded confidence, That's the one thing she never expected to feel again, and it's the very thing that might pull her back. Part 6. Reconnect strategically after no contact ends. When the silence ends, don't ruin its power by rushing back into the noise. After 30 days of no contact, the temptation is strong. You'll want to say what's been sitting on your chest. You'll want to tell her you've missed her. You'll want to ask how she's doing, as if you could pick things up where they left off. But that's not the move. That's not strength. That's repetition, and repetition kills momentum. The point of no contact wasn't just to give her space. It was to create contrast, to let her feel your absence, and to let you rebuild your presence. So when you finally reach out, it shouldn't carry emotional weight. It should carry a new energy entirely. Don't start with nostalgia laced in pain. Don't send a message that demands clarity or answers. You're not there to process the past. You're there to spark something new. Reach out with something light, playful, familiar, something unexpected that catches her off guard, not with drama, but with warmth. Maybe it's an inside joke you both used to laugh at. Maybe it's a photo of something random that only the two of you would understand. Maybe it's a sentence that sounds like it belongs in the middle of a conversation, not the start of one. That's how you rebuild ease, by giving her something that feels like breath, not burden. Because when she opens that message, it shouldn't feel like obligation. It should feel like curiosity, comfort, something that doesn't drag her back into the weight of what went wrong, but reminds her of what felt right. Reconnection isn't about rehashing, it's about rewriting. And if your message feels like a page from a new chapter, not a sad echo of the last one, she's more likely to turn that page with you. Because what you're really offering isn't a second chance at what you had. It's a different experience with the man you've become. Part 7. Meet them again, in person or virtually, but wisely. If the moment comes when you're considering meeting her again, whether in person or through a screen, you need to carry more than just intention. You need to carry strategy. This is not about proving anything. It's about presence. And presence, when done right, speaks volumes without a word. Don't make the mistake so many men do by traveling across the world just to see her without a reason that makes sense beyond emotion. That kind of move doesn't show strength. It shows attachment, and that's not the energy you want to lead with. If you happen to be in her city, if there's a genuine reason for you to be in the area, then reaching out casually makes sense. You're not chasing. You're not cornering her into a decision. You're simply moving through your life, and there's space maybe to cross paths. If you meet in person, keep it short. A coffee, a walk, a quick bite. Enough time to bring warmth and familiarity back into the air, but not long enough for things to get heavy or confusing. Stay present, stay playful, flirt a little, tease a little, but don't lean in emotionally. You're not there to explain the past. You're there to leave an impression. Leave her with a smile she didn't expect. A moment of laughter that reminds her of who you were together. A small gesture, a glance, a light touch on the arm. A simple phrase that triggers a private memory, that lingers longer than any apology or speech ever could. Make it easy for her to enjoy your presence. Make it impossible for her to forget your energy. And then leave before it gets too deep, before she can figure out what it all meant. Walk away while the moment still feels good, because what lasts in the mind isn't what's over-explained. It's what's felt and unfinished. That's how you create desire again, not by pushing for clarity, but by becoming the man who doesn't need it. Leave her wanting more, not because you manipulated the moment, but because you respected it, and because you respected yourself. Summary: play the long game and rebuild naturally, not with force, not with a timeline, but with presence. This isn't about winning her back overnight. It's not one perfect message or a single coffee that changes everything. This isn't a movie. It's something more human, more unpredictable, and more meaningful if you let it unfold without trying to control it. The reconnection, if it happens, won't be because of what you said. It will be because of how you've changed, genuinely, quietly, and without asking her to validate it. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is happening. A playful text that gets no reply. A warm exchange that fades again into silence. That's okay, because rebuilding something real requires space. It requires emotional patience, not performance. The most powerful shift happens not in conversation, but in perception. And that takes time. She has to choose you again, on her own, without pressure, without persuasion, and that choice will only happen when she no longer associates you with the pain of the past, but begins to associate you with the peace and strength of who you've become. So stop looking for closure, stop needing a label, stop rushing the story. Just keep showing up, not in her inbox, but in your own life, in your energy, in your posture, in your silence. Because one day, when her world goes quiet enough to remember, she will. She'll remember the one who didn't chase. She'll feel the shift in you that no text could explain, and she may find herself drawn back to the man who didn't flinch, because he no longer needed to be chosen. He had already chosen himself, and that's what changes everything. If this message brought you clarity or helped shift your perspective, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Stoic Station. It truly, genuinely means a lot. I read every comment. So if you have a question or feel inspired to share your experience, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for staying with me through this conversation. I hope it gave you something real, something to carry forward. Stay centered, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next video.